right. Hello, everyone. And welcome to episode number 8 of building a second brain application with Firebase, SwiftUI, Gemini, and all the other APIs and products that you need in order to build them. So, looking at the stream, I think everything is looking good. I would love it if you said hello. I know you can't wave, but you can send emojis, for example, like, the party popper or the awesome emoji. So you can try that. And I can also show the chat in the overlay here. So, the year is drawing to an end, and this is probably maybe the last or second, well, this is the second to last stream that I'm going to do before Christmas. Which is not true actually, because there is going to be another one that I'll be doing, but not on this channel, but on the main Firebase channel. It's a very special one. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've been discussing what we want to do, and we had some really nice ideas. Oh, and why doesn't anybody tell me that I don't have my microphone on? So give me a moment. Okay, that's better. See, that's the thing when you don't have the producer, everything, you need to run everything yourself. You need to keep everything in mind, and nobody tells you that something is wrong because nobody's on the back channel, right? Okay, but things are looking good. And I think we can get started. So let me switch over to the picture-in-picture mode. And wow, this is interesting because we should be seeing a different screen. That is really interesting. What is happening? Okay, so let me try something. There is always something new. This is really weird. So let's switch back. Okay, let me quickly switch. Okay, so this is showing my other monitor. Okay, here we go. Okay. That's really strange. So I've got this really complicated setup here where here is a teleprompter with and maybe that's the thing. So I also run QuickTime now so that I can look at myself so that I've got someone to talk to. And then the screen that you see on screen right now is a virtual screen, and it's basically virtually above my main monitor. And I mirror that into my streaming software, and then on that side is my MacBook, and that MacBook just shows the YouTube live stream. And I can see that we've got a couple of folks on the live stream. So why don't you say hello and introduce yourself, where you're dialing in from. If you're just a bot, you can say you're from the internet. That's completely fine. All right, so what we did last time was we implemented this really simple login screen here. And let's take a quick look to remind ourselves what we did. So here we have the authentication screen. We have state variables for email and password. We have a login function that allows us to log in. We also have a log out function. And you can see that I'm using this way of separating my state and my functionality from the main view by making use of this extension /struct arrangement. So in the struct, I have my state and my functions, and in the extension, I have the body. And we have Wahid dialing in from Lagos. Well, welcome to the stream. So, so this helps me to separate things, right? So for example, we could easily collapse this part here if we just want to focus on the state, or vice versa. We could collapse the state if we want to focus on the body. Okay, and then we also implemented a very basic authentication service. And this authentication service helps us to do a couple of things. So the first thing is that we have this state change listener. And this state change listener is really here to help us be notified whenever something happens, like the user is signing in or they're signing out. And if you were watching last time, you might remember that this also played a crucial role when we start the application. So when the user signs in and then they leave the application and maybe the application gets evicted from memory, so it dies essentially, and then you restart it, you need to re-establish the authentication state of the user. And this authentication state change listener plays a major role in this because it will be called automatically from Firebase authentication at application startup, because Firebase authentication will re-establish the authentication state by looking into the keychain where it stores the authentication token for the signed-in user. And if there is an authentication token for the user, then it will re-establish the sign-in state for that user. And if there is none, that means nobody was signed in. So this is really important to maintain this authentication state. Okay, and then the other thing that we did is we maintain a reference to the user, and we have two methods here for signing in and for logging out, and these really just forward the call to Firebase authentication. And we have Carter. Carter, I remember you dialed in last time as well, right? So welcome back. Okay, so one thing that Clemens mentioned last time, so let's look at the comments from last time. So two things here. I think I mentioned it last time as well. I don't know why, but there is an issue with the comments. So you can see this here. Clemens and I have this long-running conversation about his comments not making it through. So he says, well, some of my comments keep on disappearing, and I have no idea why that is. So I looked into the YouTube Studio for my channel, and the comments that Clemens mentioned, they're not even in the held queue, so they completely disappeared. I can't even see them. But some of the comments, for example, like this one here, the first one, I had to pin this in order to make it visible at all. So if I unpin this, it will completely disappear. It will not, it will not even be visible somewhere else. So if you leave a comment and it disappears, it's definitely not me deleting your comment. It might just be YouTube, and I have no idea. I opened a ticket with the team, so maybe eventually we'll understand why this happens. Okay, that out of the way. Clemens did have a comment about something that I did at the 21 minutes mark, and if we look at that, so 21 minutes around here. So you can see that I've started building this login screen here. And what I did was I used an H stack to arrange an image and a text field. So using an H stack means that you have your elements oriented this way. So you have an element here and the next element is next to that. So on a line essentially. Which is what we want, right? So we want the icon and then the input field on a line. But there is a better way to do this, and Clemens suggested this, and it is a labeled content view. So let's do that and fix the code, or improve the code rather. So here is our email field, and I'm going to use the labeled content now. Labeled content, and you can see that you can provide a title key and then the content, or content and label. So, and because our label is an icon, I can't use this one here. I can't use the title key. Because I would have to use a string and I want to use an image. So instead, I think we'll end up using this one. So, and the content will be the text field and the label is the image. And then we can remove this here and yep. It looks just the same. So let's zoom in a little bit. And you can see that it really looks the same. So that's perfect. So, and with that, let's just update this one here as well. Labeled content, move the image into label. And move this one here. Okay. Okay, and we have the underline. Sweet. Great. So thanks for leaving a comment, and you know, everybody, if you see me doing something that you think, oh, this can be done better, please leave a comment either on the live chat, or if you watch this after the recording, you can leave a comment under the video and I'll get back to it the next time. Also, if you have questions, drop them into the chat or into the comments. Here's a question for all of you. So I've been considering setting up a Discord server because that way, you know, the comments can't get lost, obviously. And it might also be an interesting way to have, you know, an easier way to have long-running conversations. And it's, you know, it's just easier to have a conversation in a chat room that we can host on Discord. We could even set up different rooms. You know, there might be one room for just this video series or live stream series, and there might be another room where we can talk about other things. So let me know what you think about it, if you think that's a good idea, if you'd be up for it, or if you you know, if you don't care, or if you like this you know, chatting here, or leaving comments if you like that better. Hey Lars, how's it going? So we've got a couple more things that we need to do. Okay, so Wahid thinks Discord is going to be awesome. Okay, thanks for that. I'll definitely consider it. So, a couple of things that we want to go through today. So one thing that I want to do is, so the login works, but we had to set up the user account manually in the Firebase console, and obviously the users don't have access to the Firebase console, so we need to have a way for them to sign up. So this is just a login screen. So that is something that we want to do. And then the other thing that we need to do is we need to have a better place for the user to log out from, and usually that would be from an account screen. But first, let's implement the sign up screen. And what I want to do, I want to have a mechanism that the user can use to flip the screen, essentially. So they will start on the login screen, because most of the time, we'll have to figure out, right? And maybe this is something where we can use Firebase A/B testing. But I think most of the time when people come into the application, they probably want to log in. The number of users who want to sign up at one point might be lower than the number of people who want to log in. But since I'm not entirely sure, maybe that is something that we can verify with A/B testing. So let's see. So in order to implement this, this feature, we need to be able to track the authentication state of the user. So let's see. Okay. So in our authentication service, we're currently tracking the authentication state of the user by using the isLoggedIn thing. And that is probably good enough, right? So if the user is logged in, we can, well, let me think. I think what we'd rather want to do is, let me go back to this other thing here. Okay. Okay, so we want to have two different flows that we want to implement. So let me see. I think, yeah, so here we go. Okay. So we'll first create an enum. And that enum tracks the flow that we're currently in. So we can either be in the login flow or in the sign up flow, right? So currently we're in the login flow, but we might want to switch to the other flow. And then we'll have to track the state here in our screen. And I think we want to start with authentication flow.login. So that is what we want. So I'm now implicitly making this an authentication flow variable. Okay, so login, login. Okay, so now if we are in the sign up flow, we also need to have another password field because we want the user to repeat their password. So if flow equals sign up, we will also show this. Right, so currently it's not visible because we are in the sign in flow. So let's quickly change this. So we are in the sign up flow. Okay, and then at the bottom of the screen, we want to display another label. Oops. So if the user, if we are in the sign in flow, we want to say, don't have an account yet, create one here, and then have a label that helps us to flip the flow. Okay. So if a flow is .login, we want to display one text and otherwise a different one. So if it's login, we want to say don't have an account yet. And if you are in a sign up flow and the user might want to flip back because they already have an account, we want to say already have an account. Question mark. And then I also want to display a text, a button that is a text so that they can click on the button. And in order to do that, we're going to use our trusty HStack. And then insert a button. And the button will have an action and a label. So the label will be a text. And again, if the flow is login, we want to say sign up and otherwise log in. Right, so predictive code completion does help. Cool. So you can see that I've got this text button now here. Well, and actually we got the state completely wrong. Because I made a mistake. So wait. If the flow is login, we want to say don't have an account yet. And if you have an account, you want to say, do you want to log in, right? So already have an account, log in. Why is it the wrong way around? This is really strange. Is it me just thinking wrong? Oh no, it's correct. So yeah, I was just confused. So we are, because we display the password and the password repeat field, we are in the sign up flow, and we want to offer the user to also be able to log in. All right, so shouldn't this authentication flow go to the view model? Well, yes, it should go into the view model, but in this architecture, I'm not using separate view models. I keep the view state in the view itself, and this is why I'm separating it into this struct here. So that the struct essentially is my view model, if you will, and the extension holds the view body. Have I ever played with Typekit? No, I haven't. Maybe that's something for next time. Okay, so, and then here we want to flip the flow, right? Yeah, we can, if the flow is .login, we want to turn it into sign in and do it like this. Okay, so let's see if this works. Okay, it does work, but it is not, it jumps around a little bit, right? So what we can do is we can wrap this in with animation and see if this gets any better. And then indent. Hey, Michaela. Also, did you notice I sent the greeting without typing? So that's a Cloud bot that I was playing around with. So I was waiting for some of the regulars to show up, and I put some of the names of the regulars into the Cloud bot to send a greeting. So apparently it did work. Nice. Okay, so this is a little bit better, right? So it it animates a little bit better. Okay, so let me look at my notes here. Okay, what else did I do to make this better? Okay, so here are two things for making this login button better, or there is a couple of things that we should do better. So one of the things is this button up here. So it should be bordered prominent, that's fine. And then this is so weird. You know, it should take up the entire space. Not sure what's the problem there. Okay. Well, we keep it at that. So another thing that you might have noticed is that in the password repeat field, where is it? So we've got our password here, and here is the other password field. We're managing this in the password field, so that is not a good idea. We should have a new password repeat, and that's also a string, and then we can use it down here, and password $password repeat. Okay, cool. So now if I enter something here, test@test.com, you will see that the login button is enabled all of the time, right? So, and that's probably not a good idea, and we should make sure that it only is enabled if the user actually can sign in, you know, if the fields are all filled and if the passwords match. So let's first disable it. So where's the button? .enabled. Is it .enabled or is it disabled? Yeah. So it's disabled, right? And now we need to track the state somewhere. So in our authentication screen view model, we can now add another property. Oh yeah. Confirm password. Good suggestion. Let's do that. Let's refactor this, right? I mean, it's one of the refactorings that we have. Confirm password. There you go. Yeah, that's a lot better. So Michaela is excited about Firebase Data Connect. So have you other guys heard about Firebase Data Connect? And if yes, do you think that you might want to try it out? It's our SQL offering. Some authentication state to show some loading icon before we determine to sign up or log in. Yeah, probably also a good idea. Okay, but where was I? So I wanted to verify, right? Is valid. Okay, so we can let's see if it works. So we will return false for now, and then hook it up down here. Where's the button? Is valid. Okay, so it should. The button is disabled. That's nice. So if we put true, it should be enabled. Nope. Oh yeah. And this will not work, right? Okay. Cool. So let's see. Okay. I am sure it should work. Why does it not work? Maybe that's something with the preview. Let's run it. Okay, so let's find our simulator. So my expectation is the login button should be enabled because we just return true. Ah, of course. You know, that's another sign for an API design that, you know, might not be such a fantastic idea. So down here we say disabled if the form is valid. So this needs to be not is valid, right? So let's try this one more time. And now Xcode previews and the simulator are fighting for resources. Yes, that's right. So the text field for passwords should be secure text fields, and I think they are because that is something that somebody else mentioned last time. Might have been Lars or maybe Clemens. Okay, what's wrong? That's it's not building. Okay, so simulator is starting in the background, but it's using the wrong state of the application. Well, let's try this again. Let's launch this. Okay. And I don't know. So I found that I'm not sure if this is something that's new in Xcode 16 or if it has started in Xcode 15. The startup, the application startup is so slow on the simulator. Okay, so now it's enabled, which is what I expected. And now let's do false. And it should be disabled. Yep. All right, cool. So, but obviously we want to check if everything's all right. So if the flow is equal to login, we need to make sure that the email is not empty and that the password is not empty. So like that. And otherwise, we want to make sure that the email is not empty and that the password is not empty and that the password matches the confirmed password. Okay, and this probably should go away if we do that. Okay, great. So, sorry. Hello. Where are we? Is valid. There we go. Okay, the password must not be empty. The email must not be empty, and the password must match the confirmed password. Okay. So now, and let's see if we can make the preview work. So as far as I can tell, we don't have any dependency. Well, do we? Yeah, we do have a dependency on the environment, but only for the dismiss action. Okay, so we put something in here and we put something in here. The passwords match, so we can log in, but the label for the button is not correct, so we need to fix that. And this works as well. Okay, so nice. So now what we have to do is change the label on the button. Okay, so Michaela says, I always build the project and then once that succeeds, refresh the preview and that usually helps it work better. Yeah, Lol, exactly. This is, it reminds me, every technology has its signature dance, if you will, right? So really early on in my career, I did Java and enterprise Java beans, and there as well, when you wanted to build, you first had to build, then you had to redeploy your Java beans, and then you had to rebuild again and redeploy them again, and then it would work. It was, yeah, some sort of state mismatch, I guess, as well. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this button here, oh yeah. All right, so we made a mistake last time, or maybe not, because last time I wanted to have a mechanism for us to be able to sign out, and I basically used the sign in button to also sign out. So, but what we really want is if the flow equals to .login, we want to display login and otherwise sign up. And then inside, again, we also need to decide which flow we're in. If we're in a login flow, we want to log in with email and password. And if we're not, we want to sign up with email and password. So does it? So predictive code completion does not really understand which methods we have. So we have login with email and password. That's fine, but we don't have sign up with email and password just yet. So we'll have to add it. Func sign up with email and password. All right, so just a suggestion: to track why the login button isn't tracking the full width, switch to the arrow view in preview to see the elimination of the views. Yeah, good point. Let's quickly do that. This one. Oh. So it does take up the entire space. So let's see. Okay. All right. So we'll look at what Lars says in a moment. Let's first look at how we can make this button take up the entire width. So we tell the button it should have a max width of infinity. And, okay. Okay. So I think it might have to do with the texts. And we're just using a text here. So let's try something different. So button, and we use the action here and then the label there. So, and then if flow equals to login, we want to have a text that says texts login. Otherwise, we will use texts sign up, sign up, and then we can take this and move this into the code. Okay. And then frame max width, no, just max width dot infinity. How's that? No? Yes? Yes. Okay, so that was it. And now let's see if we can be more, if this works. No, it does not. Okay. All right, cool. So we resolved that. So let's see. Lars says, I had some similar problems with the previews launch, errors like in reasonable time, which according to discussion in Apple's dev forums might have to do with the new preview handling. Yeah, if you have a link to that discussion, I think that would be useful. I always put the frame on the text or label of the button, not the actual button. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a good point. You know, to think of the button more as of a conceptual view and not like a physical view. Michaela, is that what you think? I mean, yeah, but just for the frame, right? Because the button style that we want to keep down here, right? Because I mean, both apply to the text really. So yeah, it's not ideal, I guess. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding something. I have no idea. Yeah. Need to think about this more. Okay, so let's go back. So we have our email. Oh, wait, we need to go to play mode. So we've got our email. we've got our passwords and password confirmation. We can sign up, but if we want to log in, we can tap on log in, and then we will have that. Okay, so that's that. And let's see. Yeah, we can, we can try it out. This should even work from inside the preview. So let's go here. We've got this test account here. And let's make a little bit more space. And then I'm going to create a new account. And the password. So I don't want to log in because, oh yeah, let's try this. So when I click on login, nothing happens. And also there is no error message. And we're not even logging the error message. So that is something that we need to take care of as well. So let's switch over to the sign up flow. Let me type in the same password. Okay, and then let's refresh that. Okay, and that is probably because we haven't implemented the function yet. There you go. I knew I had forgotten something. Okay, and what we will do is we will just call our authentication service up here. So we'll have to implement this. So func sign up with email and password. And this looks good. Yep. So create a user with email and password. Perfect. And then we can call this from our view. Was it? Yeah, it was async. So try await authentication service dot sign up with email and password. We're passing in the email and the password. And then we wrap this in a task. And we're signing up as email, and we wrap this so we can handle the error. So we're just printing the error if something goes wrong. So let's try this again. Oh, no. Okay, and here we go. So here is my test account that I created from inside the preview. Nice. Okay, more discussion about frames and styles. Yeah, I think putting the frame after the style probably makes sense because you first want to style and then you want to make sure that what you style takes up the space that you want to provide for it. That makes sense to me. Good. So let's see. Oh yeah, we should probably display an error message. So what we can do is, I think, so I don't have an error message state here, but we can just put one. And it's probably not even a state. Or is it? No. Okay, so if there is an error message equals error.localized description. Yeah, we can print it. Yeah, good suggestion. And we'll do the same. Oh, and also we will reset the error message here. I mean, here we're dismissing the dialog, so it doesn't really matter a lot. But still. So if this goes through, error message can also be empty. Okay, and then we need to display it somewhere. So we can show it just above the button. And while we're here, let's put this in a group. How's that? Yep, that worked. Good. So if not error message.empty is empty, we will display a text with the error message. Like optional to, oh yeah. So I was expecting something like that. And then it's no longer optional. Good. And probably we want to use some color. So I think it's foreground style, right? Dot red. Okay. And let's see how this looks like if we put an error. Yep, I would definitely use regular expressions to have more complete or more robust validation. This is just the beginning, and I think you would probably want to use a pre-made validation for email addresses, because if you're trying to implement one yourself, you're probably getting it wrong, and you're missing out on, I don't know, whatever special characters are allowed or not allowed for email addresses. So I'd rather use something that's pre-made, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is something, some API that we can use that's already taking care of that. Also, the other thing is what you definitely want to look into to make sure that the user chooses a strong password, and that's definitely something that we can look into as well. Also, Firebase has recently made it possible to specify password rules for your passwords, so you can specify how long the passwords need to be, and some other rules. So that is also something you might want to consider. But not today. Firebase question. If I add a second database to my Firebase project, how does the iOS app know which database to point to? I need to restructure my database, Firebase database, with a new schema. Yeah, I think you can specify the database name when you get the instance. So you can so whenever you have a Firestore when you set up a Firestore instance in your Firebase project, it's the default one. So when you go in, let's go into the console. It says something like default right here. So here, default. So the name is not DEFAULT, but it is the default database. And if you create a new one, you can specify a name for that. And then when you create your database, you get the handle to the database, you can specify the name. So you can open a connection to one database and another connection to another database, and then you can fetch data from one database and push it to the other database. Good. So let's see where we are with this. I think what we definitely still need is the account screen, but let's double check. So so this user is currently not signed in, and we are in the sign up flow. So we want to try to sign in. So let's try this. Peter at login. Yeah, that worked. And now we don't have a logout button. Dang. All right, so we need to implement a logout button first. Or the other option is to reset the device. Or yet another option that might be easier is to when we instantiate our service here, we will just say auth dot sign out. Yes, it can throw. Okay. Yes, exactly. Just like Vim. You can sign in, but you can never log out. Okay. So now, we need to remember that to remove that piece of code, because now every time the application starts up, the user will be signed out, and that's going to be super confusing. Okay. Let's try the sign up flow. So toast at toast.com. Tests. Okay. Sign up, and that's another thing that we forgot. We didn't dismiss the button. So here's the account. It was created just fine, but we forgot to dismiss the dialog. Okay, sign up with email and password. And then if everything went well, we want to dismiss. And let's do it this way. Okay. So using content unavailable view to display our errors. Oh wait, so first, what is wrong here? Why is cannot find this? Oh yeah, I need to learn typing. Okay, so using content unavailable to display an error. Wouldn't that? Okay, maybe Michele, you can explain more why you would want to do that. Isn't it very bulky? Let's find the error message. Okay, so content unavailable view. Is there a version of it that doesn't have an image? Let's try this. Tests. I don't have an image. Okay, let's see it. I mean, we can use content unavailable view in the main view of the application before the user signs in, right? So that is definitely something that we can definitely do. But oh wow, wow, this takes up a lot of space. So yeah, I don't know, Michaela, if content unavailable view is the right thing for the error message here. So I'll just remove it for now. Maybe if you want to explain more, we can look at it back later. So Carter asks, would you do something like auth.auth.getStore user for access group to get the auth instance in Genkit with app groups? So what you're referring to is how do you share the authentication state between the application and an extension? And that is a very good question. So let's take a look at what the documentation says about this. So Firebase authentication iOS, and then I think single sign-on is where we want to go. Well, no, I was wrong. It's enabling cross-app authentication with shared Apple keychain. So what let's look at what it describes. So to share auth state between apps. So this piece of documentation was written before extensions even existed. And the reason is, it might be interesting to share authentication state between separate apps that you might have, right? So my go-to example is Foursquare/Swarm. I don't know if you guys still use it. Foursquare is this social check-in application that you can use to, discover the world around you and understand, what's a good restaurant around here? What do people think about it? And the cool thing is that you can use it with your friends. So if your friends use it too, then you can connect and you have the circle of friends and you can see whenever your friends check into a place. And that's another functionality of the application. And at one point, Foursquare decided to separate the app that literally is just this kind of like place review application from the social check-in app. So Foursquare now is the application that just has all the listings. You can look up restaurants, you can look up museums, all sorts of places, and you can look at photos that people uploaded and read the reviews. And if you want to use the social aspect of this app, you use the Swarm application. And the Swarm application uses the same database. It just has a different look at the data. It puts the social aspect forward. So instead of seeing a map of all the places around you and then being able to search for restaurants, what you do is you see a list of all the places that you checked in last, and then you press a button and then it shows you the places around you and you can say, oh, I'm here, I'm gonna check in, right? So long story short, two applications, same company, same database, two different kinds of functionality, but you want to make sure that if the user signed in to one part of the application, let's say to the Foursquare application, they don't have to, sign in again in order to use the Swarm application. And that is where this shared auth state comes from. The same applies if you have an application that has extensions, for example, a share extension or a widget or whatever, right? So the way how you set it up is, first of all, you need to set up an access group for your app, and here it walks you through how you do that. So you need to go to your capabilities in Xcode, and you need to enable keychain sharing because that is where we store this information. And you need to define a keychain group identifier, and you need to use the same group identifier for all the applications that you want to share this authentication state. And then early on in the application startup process, you need to make this call here where you pass in this, this group identifier that you've defined. So you'll say auth.auth.use user access group, and then you'll provide this. And you do the same in all other parts of the application that live in a separate process, right? So in your widgets, in your extensions, in whatever. And then all of those application pieces of your application share the same authentication state. And then, for this particular application that we're talking about, we will want to implement a share extension, right? So if the user is in Safari or in Chrome and they are on an interesting page, they want to press on the share button, the sheet pops up, they pick the name of this application, Sophia, they tap on that, and then the share extension process starts up, and it needs to have the same authentication state. And from there, we want to write into Firestore, and that actually works. And I'm going to show you how to implement that in one of the next streams. All right, so yes, for sure, I can drop the link to the documentation into the chat. Let me find the right window. Let's see, did I miss any other questions that people had? Yes, so actually let me open this in Xcode so I can show it to you. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you see in this version of the application, I've already done a lot more things. So for example, I've refactored a lot of stuff into packages. Bye, Michaela, see you around. Thanks for joining. So here is our share extension. And let's first look at the capabilities, right? So here we have our project, and now here in the signing in capabilities, we should be able to see our keychain sharing group. So here's my keychain group, dev.peterfriese.sophiav2. And if I go to the extension, you will see that I have exactly the same keychain group. And then in this share view controller here, first of all, we've configured Firebase. Then we get the authentication service. And inside that service, we have this call which registers the user access group. And now your question was, does the share extension have to be linked against Firebase authentication? And the answer is yes. So we should be able to see this here. So it's linked against the authentication package, and the authentication package itself has a dependency on the Firebase SDK and the authentication SDK. Yeah, so the answer is yes. If that is an issue because you have size limitations, then you'll have to figure out a different way to do that. And I think if you look at the at Apple's documentation for keychain sharing, they will show a couple of ways how you can do that by sharing the same container on disk and using the disk to exchange data, and a couple of other mechanisms. Okay, are we still here? Yeah. Suggesting you to vote, and let's see what happens. Okay. Hello? All right, so I think we're back. I have no idea why it cut out, but apparently we're back. Okay. Cool. So, let's see. How many people are still on the stream? Well, so let's continue this, and let's add at least another dialog so that the user can sign out, and then I think we'll call it a day. So let's create a new view. New view from template. I need a SwiftUI, and I'm going to name it hello. Okay, so my keyboard is no longer connected. Well, without a keyboard, it will be pretty difficult to type. I'll tell you that. That is not very good. Okay, so I will disconnect and reconnect. Okay. But I've got a keyboard. Good. Account screen. Good. So, and in the account screen, I want to display, the name of the user, and then maybe just a button for them to sign out. So let's add a button here, and then maybe let's user name, and so this can be a VStack, and then the button, I need an action and a label, and I want to be able to sign out. Sign out. Okay. Let's create our typical structure to keep the state separate from the body. And we don't really need a state here, but we need access to the authentication service, right? So, and I think what we did here is we just used the, we pulled the singleton. So we can do that as well. And then here, func sign out authentication service dot sign. Is it logout? Yep, it's logout. And this can throw to cat. And then if there is a problem, we can print the error. Okay. And then let's see, do we have a username on the service? We do. Username is authentication service dot user dot full name, I guess, or what is it? Display name. Display name. So, and this might be nil, and then we will display something like this. Okay. Good. And then here we call sign out. Okay, so we want to display this screen when the user taps on the avatar, on the login avatar, and we want to enable them to, or allow them to sign out. So we only want to display this if the user is signed in. So first of all, let's go in and in the authentication service, in the init. So we'll have to disable this because that's what we did in order to sign the user out when the application starts up, which is not such a great idea for a production app. And then in the, I think we're in the artifact list screen, that's where we have our toolbar and top bar trailing that shows our authentication dialog. So if the user is signed in, we want to display the account dialog. And if the user is not signed in, we want to display the authentication dialog. So let's first create a new sheet here, presenting dot sheet dollar presenting account dialog, and then account screen, and then presenting account dialog. We need this state variable here at state private var is false. Okay, and now in our action here, we will check if the user is authenticated or not. So authentication service dot is logged in. If yes, we will toggle the presenting account dialog. Otherwise, we will toggle the authentication dialog. I'm never quite happy with how this formatting works. So I think that is how I would prefer it. Okay. Let's run this and then see if this works. Hello. Okay, so here is our application. We're signed in. Okay, apparently because we don't have a display name. Yep, that's something that we also need to implement. Anyways, we can display the email. Okay, let's do sign out, and we should also probably do dismiss. So we're signed out, which we can see by this icon here. And then when we press that again, we will see this dialog. And so really, let's make a couple of changes here. So in the authentication screen, so first of all, this needs to go. Then second of all, the flow really should be the login flow. And then in the account screen, we want to dismiss, and that means we'll have to add environment dismiss for dismiss, so that we can, this should be private, so that we can dismiss the dialog, dismiss, and then let's display the email instead. Okay. All right. So here's the app. We're not signed in. Let's sign in. Log in. Okay. Let's see. Now it displays my email address. I tap on sign out. I'm signed out. And then I can sign in again. All right, cool. So obviously there is a lot more that we need to implement on this authentication screen or authentication flow. For example, there is no way to reset your password if you forgot your password, right? So that is definitely something that we need to fix as well. All right, so let's go to the outro. All right, great. So we ran over by a bit. So I usually try to stick to about 1 hour. If 1 hour is the best time for you, let me know. If you think, oh yeah, why not do 2 hours or 1.5 hours, let me know. Post in the comments, or if you're still online in the chat, post into the chat. As I mentioned, we will have another Firebase After Hours live stream next week. It's going to be on Wednesday, December 18th. And that is also the reason why the next live stream for this application is not going to take place on Wednesday, as I try to usually do, but it's going to take place on Thursday, same time. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. It was good fun, and thanks for the lively discussion. I really enjoyed that. It was amazing. As Michaela mentioned, it actually does help if you like the video, and if you actually liked it. If you didn't like it, then you don't have to tap the like button, obviously. All right. Yeah, thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day, wherever you are, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.